Welcome to another episode of Head to Head Sports. I'm Brian Parker, along with my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, man? You're doing good.
Man. We got some things to talk about this week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to us live streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and also appearing weekly on Roku and now Amazon Fire TV. So more places to catch us. So please always like, share, and subscribe, and hope you enjoy the show. But it's not just a show for you to watch. It's also a show for you to contribute to. So if you have any questions, comments, observations, please share those in our comment box, and we will read those questions live on air and try our best to have an answer for you. So welcome, everybody. We do appreciate you from joining us. We do this every single week, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Even though it is starting to wind down, I cannot believe we have gone through another full season and 2 strong weeks of playoff football. This had to be by far, the best playoff weekend I have ever seen in my life. Every freaking game comes down to a final play.
They all walked off. Every one of them walked off. That's insane. All 4 games walked off.
Dude, what?
It's insane.
Unbelievable. Dude, I was exhausted after this weekend. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, one of my friends was talking about, hey, NFL, you got any games for us on Monday? I'm like, I don't know if I could take it.
No,
I don't know if I could have took a Monday game, because after what I saw this weekend, I was like, you got to be kidding me. So my picks are all wrong. I done fell off the mountain climb that we supposed to be doing, but I wasn't even mad about that. I was like, you know what? I'm still have a winning record, but this weekend, what I saw was just totally awesome. I think the only game that I got right in my picks was the one that a lot of people didn't even think could happen, and that was the Bengals game.
Yeah, I didn't think that Super Wild Card weekend could be topped, but these divisional games, it's incredible what happened, man. It's just insane. I don't even know where to start. I'll let you handle that part of where we start at, but all 4 games, like I said, ended in walk-off fashion. You cannot, if you're the NFL, you cannot ask for a better product.
Dude, I haven't seen where the ratings fell, but I can't imagine that it wasn't up there with some of the greatest weekends ever. Has to be. Let's start with the Cincinnati Bengals doing the improbable and going to dude. Neither number 1 seed made it.
No, both the number one's gone. Both the number one's gone.
So this whole thing about having that week off, I want people to understand, does not always mean that gives you time to heal up and be ready. Sometimes other teams that had to play in that wild card go in with a certain amount of momentum that will carry over, and they're ready, and you're not. Vero, Chiefs versus Bills. Yeah, we're gonna get to that one too, because that was oh my God, that was a slugfest.
Save that one for last, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna save that one for last because I got my observations about that against the Cowboys, and I'm sure if y'all watch that game, you already know where I'm going with that one. But I'm gonna just leave that out there for a minute. But yeah, so we had the Bengals going to Tennessee. Derrick Henry was back. They had Julio Jones. They had Brown for the Titans. So they were good to go. But Joe Burrow said, you know what? Hey, I'm Joey Football now, and we expect to win. We expect to be here. They played their, the thing about the Bengals that has been the key to their success is they've stayed true to themselves, Rand. The way they played that got them to the playoffs is the way that they continue to play in the playoffs. And I was very critical about teams trying to be somebody different once they got to the playoffs that did not then translate onto the field. If you're a running team, run the ball. And they do their mix of running the ball. Joe Mixon, he does what he normally does. 14 rushes, 54 yards. For other teams, That's not really a lot, but Joe's a pounder. That's what he does. He doesn't bounce outside. He runs in between the tackles and he just wears you out. Oh, he coming again? Oh, he coming again? And that's what they do. So you have to respect the fact that Joe Mixon is there, but then you have to respect the fact that Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Uzama, Tyler Boyd, those boys are out there ready to catch all these balls and stuff too. Now, let's not be mistaken. Joe Burrow got sacked like 9 times in that game. So the offensive line, so again, Rand, not having a good offensive line does not mean you can't be successful.
You better have a premier quarterback, though.
Exactly. That's why when I look at my poor Carolina Panthers, having a trash offensive line don't mean you can't be successful. I've seen Aaron Rodgers get to plenty of NFC championship games with a suspect offensive line. I've seen Tom Brady do it too. And I know those are different named quarterbacks that are not named Sam Darnold. But when people say, hey, he ain't got time to throw, he don't have this. Well, you know what? Sometimes the quarterback can elevate the talent around them, and you can work through your offensive line having some issues. But everybody ain't built like that. Everybody ain't built like that. So
stop making excuses for Sam.
Exactly. They need to stop it because there are too many other examples where the offensive line ain't great. Why they in the playoffs?
Exactly.
Why they one game away from the Super Bowl?
Yep.
You know, and questionably, Carolina defense is probably better than Cincinnati's.
The Pittsburgh Steelers had almost as bad of an offensive line as the Carolina Panthers. Still got to the playoffs with a 7-year-old quarterback that's on his last arm. So come on.
Exactly. So I digress. Yes, I'm going to trash my Carolina Panthers because it don't make no sense. And I don't even know what they're doing hiring McAdoo because Rule is still the coach. So I don't even know if that's going to matter. But I digress. I'm going to jump on that too in a little bit. But to finish up with Cincinnati, Rand, they played their game. They got out to an early lead, and then they started like they took their foot off the gas because then Tennessee came back, and some of the taking the foot off the gas was really more of some defensive things that Tennessee did to be able to get the ball back. But through the first 3 quarters, it was 16. Actually, it was 16 all at one point. But at halftime, it was actually 9-6. Then they went up another 7, and it was 16-6. And we really thought they were starting to pull away. And then Tennessee put up 10 points in the third quarter. And then they didn't score anymore after that. And then it came down to another Tannehill interception, which I believe he threw 3. He did. He threw 3 that game. And the last one was with a couple of seconds left. Burrow was able to throw a long bomb to Jamar Chase to get him in field goal range. And then the field goal kicker took care of it. And the rest, as they say, is history. So after not going to the playoffs for, 30-something years, now they've won 2 playoff games in a row. How about that?
How about it, man? Who they nation stand up? I was talking to somebody the other day, and they got all confused with the who they and the who that. It was like, hey, what are you doing New Orleans war cry? And I'm like, bro, you need to Google that for yourself. There's a difference. Slight difference, but a difference. But you know what? With that Tennessee game, I put a lot of fault on Tennessee.
Yeah.
They had their chance. They were right there. They got their workhorse back, but instead of relying on Deontay Foreman, who was doing whatever he wanted to in that game, they wanted to rely on Henry, who just got back. Now, I understand Henry is your workhorse. Henry is your future, blah, blah, blah. But Henry's been out forever, man. He did not get you there.
Correct.
And he had some rust. Just coming back. He was not as powerful as he normally has been. He carried the ball 20-some times, only for about 3 yards a carry.
3.1, he had 62 yards. Foreman, 4 carries for 66, 16 yards.
4 carries, but 16 yards a carry. So if you're a coach, you got to recognize that. Foreman out here basically doing whatever he wants, plowing through the defense, and you only let him touch it 4 times. He didn't even have a reception.
Right. Right.
So that was a huge error on their part. Huge
Mhm.
error. And
Yeah.
Tannehill had to carry the weight. And as we've seen in the past, he wasn't capable.
Ryan Tannehill is more of those quarterbacks. I don't want to use the term game manager because sometimes that gets overused, but you just need him not to keep you out of. It's kind of like Jimmy Garoppolo. You just need him to keep you out of these third and longs and behind the chains where now he has to come up with some heroic play and he sees stuff on the field that ain't there, or he don't see that safety covering your receiver, just waiting for you to look at him one more time before you throw the ball and fixate your eyes on him. So you're right. Foreman, they really should have continued to feed and let him and Henry feed off of each other.
Exactly.
But they force fed Henry as to say, hey, we're gonna catch up for all the games you missed by trying to force feed you, and you can't do that. Because now you're stepping outside your game plan. That might have been your game plan early this season when y'all had the chemistry with Henry and he was leading the league in rushing. But you had to figure out a different way to win the rest of those games to get you into the playoffs. So again, this was a team deviating from what got them there by trying to go back to become a previous edition. Well, listen, I got an iPhone 12 and I'm looking forward to getting an iPhone 13. But in no way in this story, I'm going back to an iPhone 7. It's not going to do it for me anymore. I got to keep moving forward. So they got to realize, okay, Henry can be a certain part of our game plan, but that's not what got us here right now. We need to go ahead and milk that. Plus, he's only had limited practice. He's getting back into the feel of the game, and he had a foot injury. So he's got to be able to trust that foot when it comes to cutting, when it comes to barreling over people, when it comes to planting and everything else. Why throw that on him when Foreman showed you throughout the season he was capable of picking up the slack? Yeah, now, we thought Henry went down, there was going to be a really big drop-off in the running game, and Foreman proved, even when they brought in Adrian Peterson and they had the other cat running the ball, Foreman showed that he was going to be the guy. He proved it to you. So,
man, I know. It's like, I've been on the show 2 years now. One of the first points that I ever made on this show was there's a difference between being in shape and being in football shape. The man might have been in shape. The man might have been prepared to play, but the man has been out of the game for weeks. He was not in football shape, and you could tell it. That explosiveness, that power was not there. That, he was kind of deciding on which place he could run the ball and stick his head in there.
Absorbing contact. You don't do a lot of contact when you get that far into the season. There are no pads and everything else. You do a bunch of walkthroughs. That's not football game speed. That's not getting hit, getting knocked down and then getting back up and going, okay, I'm good, my foot good. And then you trust it and you keep on going. He had to start to try to acclimate to that in the game itself.
Right.
You can't do that in the playoffs because if you lose, it's over. Your season is done. In the regular season, okay, I lost one game, no big deal unless we, are really in a tight playoff battle. Tight battle for the end of the season. But if it's early on enough, you lose a game, you move on. But you can't do that in the playoffs because if you lose a game, you're sitting on the couch. It's over.
Right.
So,
man, as they scan the stadium and I'm looking at the fans at the end of that game, it kind of reminded me of the Dallas Cowboy game. Tennessee, they were the number 1 seed. Those fans had their Super Bowl tickets, man.
Right.
They did. You couldn't tell them they wouldn't go into the Super Bowl.
And even if it wasn't the Super Bowl, surely we're going to get to the conference championship.
Absolutely.
Because surely we're not going to lose to the Bengals.
No, not at home.
Everybody, I'm here to tell you that the 2021 Bengals are not the Bengals of old. When you used to call them the Bungles and everything else, I totally get it. But that is not those guys anymore. Matter of fact, Joe Burrow wasn't even alive when they were the Bungles. So he don't know what y'all talking about. So when they try to bring up all this history and everything else, you got to understand that these guys on this team wasn't even around when that history was made. So they
Yeah.
have no connection to that history at all. They're trying to write their own history. And now, after such a drought from the playoffs, they have now won 2 playoff games in a row to show that they do belong in the playoffs. That was the game that started the madness, with basically a walk-off field goal to win the game and just stun everybody in Tennessee.
Yeah. Before we move on, you're talking about history. So one thing that would be very cool for history, I wouldn't mind seeing. I know it's a long shot, but I wouldn't mind seeing Bengals, 49ers in a third Super Bowl. I think that would be pretty cool, man.
I think it would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
It ain't what everybody picked. It wasn't a sexy pick, but I'm gonna tell you what, I think that would be a game.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing Joe Burrow throw on that defense, seeing Elijah Moore and Debo run all over the field. Oh my God. I can only imagine, man. I can only imagine. That would be awesome. I have no problem with that. I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it now. And it would be so funny because, as much as folks tried to anoint Trey Lance so early, the fact that Jimmy G would still kind of be the quarterback at the helm, if that happened, what do you do? I mean, how do you move on from Jimmy G if he gets you back to a Super Bowl? So,
yeah, I know. Super Bowl quarterback, and you're going to part ways with him.
at least LA waited a couple of years before they got rid of Jared Goff, so they can't say, well, he did get you to a Super Bowl. Yeah, but that was a couple of years ago.
Right.
You can't do that fresh off of one, like, really? You're going to do that? So without further ado, let's jump into the 49ers and the Packers. I had this game all wrong. I really figured that nothing was going to stop the Aaron Rodgers momentum, that he was just in a different zone. When I looked at who had the best quarterback, who had the better receiver, and just went that way, I said, well, it's got to be Green Bay. There's no way. They're going into Lambeau. They're not used to playing in that cold weather. Yeah, they just played in Dallas, but it was an inside dome, weather climate controlled and everything else, because Jerry, spins on everything. So they were going into the frozen tundra. Green Bay had the rest. They got the better quarterback. They got the better receiver. Now the defense I wasn't, sure of if they could keep pressure on Rodgers, but Rodgers has been so good of evading the contact, keeping plays open with his legs, throwing the ball away, keeping the ball out of danger and stuff like that. I figured that, can San Francisco really pull it off twice? Like, did they really give us their best against Dallas? Or could they really duplicate that again at Lambeau?
Yeah. I thought the game, pretty much the same as you did. It's like, how is this California team going to be able to come into the elements of the North and even have a chance at Aaron Rodgers, who's playing at the top of his game? But I'm telling you what, man, I'm starting to change my tune a little bit on Mr. Rodgers. He's starting to look a whole lot like Dan Marino out there to me, man. It's like somebody that can get you to the postseason, but then when postseason play starts, he can't quite. Thank you. That was a choke job. That was a choke job.
Now, a lot of people are still trying to take him off the hook by saying, well, the special teams really let him down because there was a blocked field goal and then there was a blocked punt, and the blocked punt led to 7 points. The blocked field goal took off 3 points. So that was a 10-point swing there. All of that is true. But you mean to tell me you're Aaron freaking Rodgers? You've been zipping that ball all season long, and you telling me that you were only able to put up 10 points?
And how many touchdowns?
Sometimes if you keep the game that close, then you just inviting in those things. He threw no touchdowns.
Right.
No touchdown. Now, he was efficient. He was 20 or 29 for 225. Did not throw one touchdown.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it in the end zone. And you're
You've
Aaron
been
Rodgers
missing touchdown all regular season long, and
all
then you
regular
got a
season.
home game against the 49ers, and you can't get in
You
the
can't
end
score
zone
on
not once. It's like, come on, man. It's like, I think I heard he's right. He's only like 11-10 or 10-11 in the playoffs for his career.
Yeah.
Not outstanding numbers. Not outstanding.
Is it going to keep
So
him out of the Hall of Fame?
I think he will make the Hall of Fame. He's got his championship, so he can lean on that part of it. But I think he's also just one of the, as we sit here right now, I know his career is not over, but he's got to be one of the most underachieving, disappointing quarterbacks in the upper echelon of quarterbacks, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
I had him top 10. I had him top 10 quarterback of all time, but he's kind of slipping back. He's kind of slipping back.
Anthony. Hey, Anthony, what's going on, man? Hope all is well with you and the fam. Rodgers will forever be the greatest regular season quarterback, and he make sure to spell regular in all caps. And a bust in the playoffs, take the GOAT comment out of the door. Bro, I don't even know who would bring up.
Bravo for that comment.
You can't be no GOAT with one ring on your hand. I'm sorry.
No, you cannot. Nope.
That's you ain't even in the conversation of GOAT. There's no way we could even ever have that conversation. That'd be like me saying, Brandon Haywood could be the GOAT because he got a championship ring, yet Michael Jordan got 6 of them. You can't even have that conversation.
Nope.
Tom Brady got 8 of them, and he got 1 of them. He can't carry his jock strap right now. I hate to say it like that, but Aaron Rodgers is good in his own place, but in the hierarchy, he would never be in the GOAT conversation because GOAT is greatest of all time. Right. And what other quarterback has 8 Super Bowls?
That's more than a lot of franchises.
What other 44-year-old quarterback led the league in passing?
None.
So yeah, he ain't nowhere in that conversation. I agree with you, Anthony. He is one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks, and we do see some quarterbacks that do choke when the lights get bright and they get to the best moments. Hell, Dak Prescott is one of those examples right now. He does great in the regular season. He passes for what Shannon Sharp likes to call, and I agree, empty calorie yards, because once his team gets down and he just starts slinging the ball, then he gets all these passing yards and everything, and they still lose the game, or all those kind of things. But that's performance in the regular season. I think, Anthony, honestly, a lot of teams do not understand that when the postseason starts, your record from the regular season don't mean nothing.
Nope.
You are just, I remember one year, and it wasn't that long ago, where the Pittsburgh Steelers went in as the last freaking seed, played in a wild card game, won the wild card game, went to the divisional, went to the conference, went to the chip, and then won the chip. And I'm going, they barely got in. Now, anybody would have said, well, damn, they basically fell in. How did they win the Super Bowl? You know how they won the Super Bowl? Because when the postseason started, their regular season record didn't matter no more. And the thing is they knew that, and everybody that played against them did not. Yep. And they won, and they got you. Yep. I saw that, and I'm going, damn, this was a wild card team that barely got in, and they don't won the chip. Because you have to acknowledge, Rand, once you get to the playoffs, it's win or go home. Yep. There ain't no win to go home in the regular season. We're not seeing that.
Everybody's 0-0. Yep, everybody is 0-0. So, I don't care if you're the number 1 seed. I don't care if the Super Bowl runs through your town. You still got to go out there and perform.
Vero, Giants versus Patriots ×2. What is that? What do you mean by that? Talk to me, dog. What do you mean by that? Giants. Brady? Giants versus Patriots ×2. No. Tell me what you mean by that, bro. But yeah, so you got to be able to reshift. The only things that you need to be able to do is what got you to the playoffs, play that style of ball, and make adjustments along the way. But, you can't sit there and say, well, we won 13 games, we won 14 games, whatever the case may be, and the other team standing across this field from you is supposed to be somewhat intimidated by that. And I think Green Bay, in a lot of ways, good point. A lot of ways, I think they figured, hey, we're the better team, but you got to go out there and prove it. Viral's point was Giant beat the Patriots twice as wild cards. They sure did. Wasn't one of those years the years that the Patriots went 16-0?
Yeah, they were. Actually 18-0 going into that Super Bowl.
That's right, because they won both of those games. They won the divisional and the conference, and they went into the Super Bowl 18-0, and it didn't matter.
Nope.
You can get got. If you don't remember nothing else I say, you can get got in the NFL. You get caught slipping. So you have to make sure. So San Francisco came to play. They did not. It took them a while to catch a little traction. The Packers had them 7-0. It was still 7-0 at halftime. It was 7-3 in the third quarter, but you never really felt like Green Bay had taken that momentum away from them, where they felt like, you know what, we're going to continue to play our game. We're going to feed Elijah. We're going to feed Debo. They line Debo up in so many different positions. The man is a receiver, but he splits as much time out as a running back and is a physical, imposing running back. He really is Debo. He got the right name. He is Debo. What chain? He is Debo for real. And they continued to play their game, and it was successful for them. Yes, their special teams came up good, but the thing is that they kept the game close enough so all they needed was a quick change of field like that. If Aaron Rodgers had sat and laid a couple of touchdowns on them to the point that they started getting desperate, maybe they started getting away from the running game because they were starting to get in such a deficit and the clock was starting to be their enemy. You never made them feel like they had to speed up anything. They didn't have to call timeouts to preserve game clock. Aaron Rodgers, you didn't put them in a position to believe that they had to not play the brand of football that got them there to begin with. That's on you, dog. That's all on you. That ain't on the special teams, because the special teams ain't never had to be in that situation before. You the MVP. Sometimes you got to carry that team. The reason that you're the MVP is because you're supposed to be capable of doing that, and you didn't. You choked. So
choked out big time, man.
You choked out big time.
San Francisco defense, because y'all put on a show. You got to
Sure
Aaron
did.
Rodgers 5 times. There were a whole lot more pressures on Aaron Rodgers, made him very uncomfortable in the pocket.
Yeah.
As far as Packers running the ball, which they also have done a good job of that this year, they shut down Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had to be more of a receiver than an actual running back.
Yeah, he was.
There are 3 elements of the game: defense, offense, special teams. Of course, San Francisco is not ever really going to shine on the offensive part of that unless the running game is going good. In this case, it was not. But the defense and the special teams stepped up big time. And, hey, got the W, man. Got the W. Give it up.
So now we got San Francisco moving on to the NFC Championship game. And they will be playing the LA Rams. Now, Green Bay goes into a season where they ended 13-5. That can't be right. 18 games? No, okay, counted that game. I'm sorry, 13-4, 17 games, right? So 13-4, and now what? Is it time to say goodbye to Aaron Rodgers? And see what you got out of Jordan Love. Jordan Love is going into his 3rd year. You haven't seen what he can do. You're going to end up having to decide pretty soon whether you pick up his 5th year, and you don't know if this kid can play. So do you trade him? Do you see what he's got? Do you kick the tires? Are you going to be able to get a fair assessment out of Jordan? If Aaron Rodgers does move on, let's say for the sake of argument, then Jordan Love would start next year, probably, unless they bring in somebody else. But if they do that, then you're still delaying what you get to see in him. So even if he does start next year, if he plays poorly or not, will you see enough in that year to then know whether you pick up the 5th-year option or not? Because if
Yeah.
you pick it up, there's a guaranteed salary with that.
I can't wait to see this offseason. It's going to be extremely interesting. 2 years ago when the breakup of the evil empire happened and Brady was kind of
Yes.
out there and nobody knew where Brady was going to go to. And there was all the suspicions of teams that were in play for him, but nobody knew. We're kind of waiting around for the off season to happen. And when he finally did sign with Tampa Bay, then boom, all of a sudden you could start lining up and seeing where the chips may fall after that. I think it's going to be the exact same thing this offseason with Aaron Rodgers. We don't know what's going to happen right now as we sit here today. But when that news breaks of him either continuing on with Green Bay or somebody trading for him, then the dominoes are going to start falling after that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, and that may actually cause everything to be held up until we do know what he's going to do. Because, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, one domino falls in, all the other dominoes start to fall into place. So I think part of what Rodgers is wanting to see is what are the Packers going to be committed to doing to improve the team for next year, because he made it plain in one of his news conferences that he has no interest in a rebuilding team. And I can understand that. He's too old to go through that. But a lot of that is going to start with whatever they do with Devontae Adams. Are they going to tag him? Are they going to pay him? Are they going to put him on an extended contract? If they Well, I don't think they'll release him. There's no way they release Devontae Adams. But the problem is that Aaron Rodgers would then have to probably agree to restructuring his deal, because he's going to count $40-something million against their salary cap, which is about a little more than a third of their cap. So you can't really afford to pay Devontae Adams unless you can get Aaron Rodgers to restructure his deal. But the only way that you're going to convince Aaron Rodgers to restructure his deal, if you say, hey, Aaron, we need to free up some cap space, because not only do we need to sign Devontae, but we got to get some of these other guys back, and we got to bring in some draft, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. Now, if he says no, then they're going to be like, well, we're going to have to move on then and find a trading partner for you. But even finding a trading partner for you, we're probably still going to have to restructure your deal, because I don't know if we're going to be able to get anybody that's going to pick up that $40 million.
Yeah, it's going to, like I said, interesting offseason, man. And the point that you just made, too, is either one of them cats going to want to be there without the other one. Will Aaron want
Right.
to be there without his ace, Devontae? And would Devontae want to be there without Aaron? So
Right.
that's all to be sorted out as well.
That's a great point, because you know what? I don't know what Jordan Love is, but I know he ain't Aaron Rodgers. And what Devontae Adams has been able to do has been a result of Aaron Rodgers getting him the ball. You just can't say, well, plug in Jordan Love and Devontae Adams is going to have the same output, because that is a quarterback receiver relationship. Just like,
Yeah.
and I'll get into it in a little bit, all the accolades that Cooper Kupp gets, but then people look down on Matthew Stafford, and I'm like, well, hell, how can you take the baby out, split the baby from the bathwater? Who passed Cooper Kupp the ball?
Yeah.
you can't act like Matthew Stafford trash, but you talking about Cooper Kupp, a possible MVP candidate. You can't. That's impossible. He ain't passed himself the ball. So anyway, so you can't just plug in a new quarterback and think, okay, well, it's the same receiver, we'll get the same results. It doesn't work that way. So, and Devontae understands that and knows that his production, his incentives, and everything has been really good because of what Aaron Rodgers has been able to do for his career as well. So it's been a symbiotic relationship for sure. Anthony says there was a video on YouTube of Love throwing the ball. It was so bad. I did see that, Anthony. And I was like, okay, I know that's isolated, but it didn't look good. It really didn't. It didn't look good at all. I was like, and you know what, Anthony, I agree. And I'm pretty sure that they've seen him in practice when he has to run the second team. Yeah. So, but the thing is that even if and Tampa found this out as well. Tampa brought everybody back from a Super Bowl season. And that didn't guarantee anything. They still went through their ups and downs and everything else. Of course, they had the issues with Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin got injured at the end of the season and whatnot. All those things were true as well. But just because you're able to maintain your status quo doesn't mean that the other teams in your conference aren't continuously getting better. So my question is that can Green Bay, as presently constructed, even now be on the top of the heap next year, or has the torch been unceremoniously passed to a team such as the Rams, the 49ers? Is it now more or less their time? Are they more in a position to win now? As you recall, LA said, hey, draft picks, we got them. Come get them. We're going to go ahead and push all our chips in the middle of the table. We building to win right now. We not trying to do that 3, 4, 5-year plan. We trying to win a chip now. So are they in that window where they got the next 2 to 3 years to get it done? And now Green Bay is not going to be that number 1 seed going forward. They're going to be a wild card and have to try to play 3 games to get to the chip. You know, are their days of being at the top of the mountain over, even if Aaron Rodgers comes back or not? If he doesn't come back, then they're definitely not. But even if he comes back, as Tom Brady found out, that window is so narrow because while you're bringing everybody back, everybody's getting better at the same time. And they're retooling and they're getting ready. So that's my biggest question, Rand, is that with or without Aaron Rodgers, I think their time for actually getting to that chip may have closed.
I agree with that. I think that window's closed, man. I really do. Even if they bring back somehow Adams and Rodgers for next year, there's so much more that's needed on that team to be competitive with the other physical teams in the NFC. They're going to have to shore up that offensive line as well. So, yeah, I think that window's closed.
And when you got a quarterback on your team that's pulling so much of your salary cap, that really hinders all the moves that you can make. You can make a couple of low-end free agent moves, people that would be good for rotations, but not starters. So, you know, it's already hard to get people into a smaller market anyway. And it's cold. So there's nothing very appealing about going to Green Bay. No. It used to be we got Aaron Rodgers. Can you take a pay cut because you're gonna play with Aaron Rodgers? And people would do that. But nobody's really lining up to do that. Some of that, maybe some off-field stuff that Aaron is doing as well. You know, I'm not in that shut up and dribble kind of mode, but boy, Aaron been talking a lot lately, and some of the things been coming out of his mouth. I'm like, you ain't really talking like nobody that really care if you play another down in the NFL. And he's made ungodly amount of money, so he doesn't need it. I get that, and he has other options. I get that too, because he's just said a lot of things that if regular people would have said that, it would have just killed their value. So I don't know if he's really helping himself that way or being attractive to other teams. At the end of the day, he is an older quarterback. Which are you going to demand first-round picks for him, second-round picks for him? What's his trade value? I mean, it's a lot of questions going into Aaron Rodgers, and I just don't know if there's any easy answers to that. But I don't expect Aaron Rodgers to be back with the Packers next year. I just don't think it makes any sense for him or for the Packers, to be honest. Go ahead and rip the band. Yeah, rip the Band-Aid on off and go ahead and start your rebuild like you need to. Because I'm going to tell you what, I don't know if next year they can even win their division. Yeah. Because what I see out of Detroit and what's happening with Chicago right now, ain't no guarantee you win your division this time.
No guarantees on that at all. And depending on what Minnesota does with Kirk Cousins, they may be right back into play as well next year. But I agree. Go ahead, rip that Band-Aid off. Go ahead and start your full rebuild right now. It's been great with the run with Aaron, but I think this year should be the final. Start over, man. Don't be in Atlanta where you're still hanging on to an aging quarterback and still have him sign while he's going to be declining and taking up so much cap. You can't even sign folks to come in because of that cap situation.
Yeah,
Just
you
go
had to
ahead
get rid of
and
your
with
you had to
them right
get rid of
now.
your receiver so that you could sign your draft picks.
Yeah. Start over.
Yeah,
You
now
drafted a
that's broke.
quarterback years ago for a reason. Go ahead and give him his shot.
And you know the way that it's set up now is when you sign these first round picks, man. If they're not playing in year 3, then you're really putting yourself against the wall because that 5th year option is coming up, and you know, do you really want them to play out that 5th year without? I mean, do you want to pick up that 5th year and agree to all that money, just like what Carolina just did with Sam Darnold? They picked up his 5th year when they after they got him from the Jets. Then he plays poorly like he did. Now you stuck with this 5th year salary. It would have been a lot easier to part ways with them after this season if they had waited till the end of the season to decide whether to pick up the 5th year or not. But they went ahead and picked it up early, and now whether he's on the team or not, you're going to have to eat all of that. All of it is guaranteed. All of it would be dead cap money. You get no relief by releasing somebody when you pick up their 5th year. All that money is guaranteed. All that money counts against your cap. The reason is you don't have any other years to back it into. You're against the wall. So when that money comes due, it's due because you can't say the only way you can back it, the only way you can back it, which you would not do this, is you would restructure his deal and say, hey, Sam, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give you a 3-year extension. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the $19 million we owe you, and we're going to turn it into $12 million, and then take that other $7 million and turn it into a signing bonus. So you're still going to get your money, but the signing bonus won't count towards the cap, but the salary will. And they'll do it like that and extend it out that way. But you would have to restructure his deal and add more years to his deal. And you don't want to do that. So you're going to get that money. So
as all y'all know, I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So we're kind of in that same predicament as well with Roethlisberger on the way out the door. You know, we got all these Steeler fans out there clamoring for Aaron Rodgers to come in, or maybe go get Russell Wilson to come in. And I'm like, look, you got Rudolph sitting right here on your team for the last 4 years. It's time to see what he can do in that 4th year. And if he's ready to roll, then fine. If not, then cut the loss and move on. But
just don't pick
you
up
got
that
him on
5th year.
the team. You drafted him. It's time to see what he could do. Is he a starting NFL quarterback? Well, let's see. Let's see in regular season games, not the preseason.
And see, Rand, I don't understand why you pick him up so fast anyway. When if he plays decent in that 4th year, and then you really need to say, okay, I'm not convinced. I need you to play this 5th year. We're going to go ahead and pick up this 5th year. Okay, well, Brian, if he goes into the 5th year and plays outstanding, now he can be an unrestricted free agent. But no. You can tag him. You can always tag him. So you don't have to sit there and prematurely go into the extra season with that 5th year picked up. Anthony. Okay, yeah, I'll get to that one too. Saints just need to trade everybody. Sean Payton was smart. He knew it and left. I agree. I think he saw that Grant call Taysom Hill and he said, I ain't coaching that S again. So yeah, since I'm done with San Francisco, Sean Payton, the longtime coach of the New Orleans Saints, who dat is actually has actually stepped down from his head coaching duties of the Saints. This is a team that a year ago lost Drew Brees, their longtime quarterback, and Sean Payton and Drew Brees had so much magic together that this year was going to be really interesting to see Jameis Winston step in after he and Taysom Hill had what was described as a close, tight quarterback battle in the preseason and in training camp, which I can't even believe that. I just don't believe that. I can't believe it was that close after what I saw with Taysom Hill. But I already knew what Taysom Hill was, but they just kept trying to convince us that he was more than we realized. And after seeing him throw 4 interceptions in the game, I was like, nah, he pretty much exactly what I thought he was. White Jameis Winston. It's what Jameis used to do in Tampa. Now, to Jameis's credit, he got some LASIK surgery. He cleaned all that up. He was looking like he was going to have I don't want to say a breakout year, but a rebounding year from sitting on the bench 1 year removed from being in Tampa Bay as their starting quarterback, and became disposable once TB12 came down there. But then he ended up getting hurt, bad leg injury and all that kind of stuff. Insert Taysom Hill, insert Trevor Siemian. He looked at that roster. I agree with you, Anthony. He probably said, "Oh, hell to the no." Hey, he pulled a Mike Krzyzewski. Oh, my back. Oh, my back. He's like, them losses don't count against me, do they? You remember when Krzyzewski went on medical leave for the whole year? He knew that team was going to be bad.
Like, I ain't coaching this, man.
You ain't seen nothing else with his back after that. It's all like it was a miracle. Like he went to some snake oil salesman and was redeemed. Boy, he good now. Ain't never had problem. But
and his back is the equivalence of the booth for Sean Payton. That NFL booth is calling. He's about to go answer that call.
Yes, and that'll be good for him because it'll give him a chance to step out for a year. I believe there's going to definitely be a bunch of options for him if he sits out a year. Everybody's trying to tie him to the Cowboys.
Carolina too.
Carolina. Oh God. Oh man.
Yep.
If Sean, I mean, listen, I will post a GoFundMe page to bring Sean Payton to Carolina.
I'll be right. I
mean, if we got to wait a year and go through one more year of this foolishness and then bring Sean Payton next year, I will start a GoFundMe page. Hey, Dave, what you want us to put on it? We'll put in on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care. He used to coach the opposing team. I can put that in the past. I'm good with that.
Me too.
So, bro. There are a lot of head coaching positions that will be available next year that he will be able to kind of sit back, and if he wants GM control, if he wants assistant GM control, whatever it is, he's going to be able to command that and get it. He's going to be a hot commodity. 1 year in the booth is not going to take that away. Hell, the Davises paid John Gruden all that money. He sat in the booth for how many years? And of course, he's not John Gruden, but they paid him an insane amount of money, and he had been removed from being on the sidelines for over a decade.
People still screaming for Bill Cowher. Still.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, that is true. They do. And he's been gone for how long now?
Yeah, a decade as well. Yeah.
Man. But you know what? Matt Rule, Bill Cowher. And that ain't even a thought.
Sure ain't.
Give me the chin. Give me the chin. I want him. Give me the chin.
Yep.
Because and I believe I think he would do a lot with that team. I mean, my God, Bill, could you imagine Bill Cowher walking in there and just the gravitas that he would have over that team?
I would love to imagine it.
You know what? This is not Fantasy Wednesdays, but my God, it feels good to imagine that. Oh man, that would be amazing. But that's what I'm saying. It's going to take a change like that. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, the Saints are going to be now in a true rebuilding mode because there is no true definitive quarterback. Is Jameis going to come back? Honestly, I think Jameis kind of auditioned himself to potentially get a better deal. So if he could come back to the Saints, but he don't necessarily need to.
No, he is not in a Cam situation. He's not.
No, he actually proved that he can read a defense a lot better, and his arm is still very, very powerful. He can get that ball. He can push the ball down the field. That's why I couldn't believe when they kept saying the competition between him and Taysom Hill was close, because I'm like, there's no way Taysom can push the ball down the field like Jameis can.
They're trying to boost Taysom's confidence. That's all.
But see, you set him up like that because then when he had to start a game, he throw 4 interceptions on you because you got him believing that he Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Let him be your little gadget man. That works out well. But he can't be your gadget man and your starting quarterback. He got to be one or the other. The best role for him has always been the gadget plays and stuff like that. He's a poor man's Tim Tebow. Let him just be that. Let him be
Yep.
Tebow. Let him be Tebow 2.0. We good with that. I mean, when he behind center, there's a 90% chance he gonna keep the ball and run. I mean, is it a
Yep.
surprise when he takes off? I mean, come on.
Man, I liken him to what happened with Slash. Remember Cordell Stewart back in the day with
Cordell
Pittsburgh?
Stewart,
Mr. Slash. He was all that. The utility knife. Use him here, use him there. He was touchdown all over the place until he was a starting quarterback. And then the interceptions came.
Because you tried to turn him into something he was not. And what made him special, you diluted it by trying to do that. What makes Taysom Hill special is his gadget ability. You got to turn him loose on what makes him special, what makes him a threat to other teams. In the hotel business, we do what we call a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. He is a threat against the team's weakness. So you got to understand what that player brings to your team. Once San Francisco figured out what Deebo Samuel could be as a dual threat,
man.
I don't know how do you game plan for Deebo Samuel? He lines up in the slot. He lines up in the backfield. He moves in motion. He does jet sweeps. He catches it out of the backfield. He makes you miss. He can turn a 2-yard catch in the backfield into a 16-yard run. What do you do with that? That's what I'm saying. So when you find a player like that, dude, don't try to be too cute. That's what they do a lot of times. They start getting too cute and try to make him do stuff he don't have no business doing, and then you end up losing. So New Orleans, good luck. I hope y'all can rebound from this. It's going to start with head coach. Have you heard any candidates? Are they looking at elevating what's his name? Because he's been a coach before too.
Well, the last I heard it was Leftwich, but Leftwich just got a job, so now I don't know what the Saints going to
do. Is it official with Leftwich? Is he going to Jacksonville?
Yeah, he's in Jacksonville. Yep.
Okay, congratulations. So we got 2 now. and on that front, I am hearing that Jim Caldwell is getting looked at. Leslie Frazier is getting looked at. He did interview for the Giants. No one wants that Saints job.
I wouldn't either. I saw what Anthony, you said, Anthony, about them being $75 million over the cap. I'm sure that went into the decision making for Sean Payton too.
How do you get $75 million over the cap? Who are you paying? Michael Thomas?
Yep. And what do you do?
Okay. You got Michael Thomas. You got Michael Thomas, and you got your running back, Kamara. Yeah. Who else are you paying? You got rid of Breeze. That would have been one of your highest salaries last year. You didn't. Right. You got Jameis on a dime. You got Taysom Hill on a dime. Who are you paying that you $75 million over the cap?
I know their defensive end just got a deal too, so he's swallowing up a bunch of money.
God, man, I don't even know how much restructuring you can do to get $75 million in the green. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do it.
Sean Payton didn't know either.
Yeah, he probably said,
right.
Good luck. He said, I think Jordan and Hill Cam Jordan. I forgot about Cam Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah, Cam Jordan. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about those 2 cats. Yeah, but still 75? What did you do? Do all their contracts the same year?
Yeah.
Damn. And it's hard to restructure Cam because Cam getting older. Kamara, you don't want to start doing second and third deals with running backs. Ask Jerry Jones. Every time you sit there and you do that with a running back, their best years are behind them. And you end up paying a running back for what he did, not what he can do for you now. Because I would argue that Tony Pollard was more effective than Zeke was. And you got Pollard for a steal compared to what you paid Zeke.
Absolutely.
So I just haven't seen it too many times work extending and restructuring running backs. So stay away from Kamara. I mean, he's a good dude. I know you got Mark Ingram back. Can you make it work with Mark Ingram and then get another serviceable running back? You could. Remember, Deebo Samuel, I think, was a 5th round pick. How that working out for San Fran? So, what's up, Brad? Brad Carlton is watching. So I know Brad is very, very happy because his LA Rams are going to the NFC Championship game.
Woohoo! Yeah, that's one that I called. The Rams did their thing, but I tell you what, they didn't make it easy. They tried to give the game to Tampa Bay, didn't they?
They did. I mean, they had Tampa Bay dead. It was rest in freaking peace. It was 20-3 at halftime. Then Tampa scored 24 points in the third and fourth quarter combined, and the Rams only scored 10 points, but it was 10 enough. But they really didn't make it interesting. I'm sitting there listening to this game on the radio, and I'm going, "Oh God, it's over. It's halftime." And I'm like, "He just don't have it. They just don't. They're getting to Brady, Donald and Von Miller. They just causing havoc. This is crazy. This is terrible. I feel bad for Tom." And then next thing I know, I listen back to the game, and they're within a touchdown. I'm like, "Say what?
Yeah.
What happened?"
Man, I never saw a team as talented as LA just start to physically break and choke under the pressure of the primetime lights, man. It was crazy.
You know what? I think they started looking up and said, "Damn, that's us."
Yeah. They got the lead and they was happy and they were celebrating, and all of a sudden they started turning into the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Yes, I saw the meme where their logo was starting to turn into the Falcons.
Right.
Never mind. That was hilarious. Brad said the game almost seemed scripted. And then Anthony says Brady's wife says she didn't like to see Brady taking all them hits. She's going to make Brady retire. I think Brady actually, wear the pants in that family. So I think it's going to be up to Brady. And Brad said happened the week before at home against San Francisco. Absolutely right. And that's the part of their game, Brad, that they got to fix is they started pulling Kansas City on me. I always accused Kansas City of doing this last year where they would get big up in games, take their foot off the gas, and next thing you know, they're in a dogfight. And you're going, why are y'all in a dogfight? You were beating the brakes off of them.
Yeah.
And, you got to have that killer instinct to just go ahead and put them out of their misery. As much as I had thought Tampa was going to somehow figure out a way, because I refused to bet against Tom Brady because I done seen him too many times not have no offensive line, not have no name receivers, and still do a lot more with less. And I was like, on paper, LA should beat the crap out of them. And the fact that it was a 3-point game is a little bit depressing. But again, after Matthew Stafford being questioned about being able to win a playoff game, he has now won 2. That says a lot to me. A lot of people kept saying, yeah, they traded Goff, got him to a Super Bowl. What's Stafford going to do? Well, he 1 game away. And he got just as good a chance as anybody to get them to the chip. San Francisco going to have a lot to say about that, but he has definitely delivered. Now, like I said earlier, Rand, everybody's trying to give Cooper Kupp all these accolades, and he is well-deserved, but I'm sorry. It matters who the quarterback is.
It matters big time. Just from a leadership standpoint. I give Stafford all the credit in the world. If you watch what happened at the end of that game, it was tied 27-27. Looked like it was going into overtime. Stafford drops this long bomb, a precise throw right into the arms of Kupp. And when that happened,
known to defend and put a cover on him. Yep. How do you play that defense and Cooper Kupp been lighting you up all game?
Yeah.
What's wrong with y'all?
Now, if you watch Stafford in those final seconds, he didn't do a Dak. He was screaming and hollering and yelling for his offensive line, get your ass down here so I can spike this ball. And he almost got caught, almost ran out of time. But because of that leadership, they're in a position where they could kick that field goal and win it.
And understanding game situation, and positioning the ball. Who the ref got to touch the ball? Hello, this ain't nothing new.
Yeah, exactly.
All that kind of stuff. So I got another Dallas reference, but it's for the the last game that we're going to talk about, because it was very interesting to see a team be able to run 3 plays in 13 seconds, and Dallas couldn't run 1 play in 19 seconds. Facts. Facts.
Don't. Wow.
You know, the team that did that gave themselves a chance to win by tying the game up in overtime and then going in overtime and throwing a walk-off touchdown to Kelsey. So, it matters who your quarterback is. I'm just
Big
saying.
time. Yep. Stafford did it too, though. Stafford did it too.
Oh, man. So that was hilarious. That was so hilarious. But before I jump on the Bills game, the Rams.
Hey, Brian, one second. I'm running out of power right quick. I need to plug in, so I'll be right back, y'all.
You got it. All right. So Rand will be back in just a second. Got to get some power. But yeah, y'all tell me, what did you think about that Rams game? I think Matthew Stafford really vindicated himself, because all those years of being with Detroit, a lot of blame gets hung on the quarterback, sometimes undeservedly. And they'll say, well, he had Megatron all those years too. Well, it takes more than just one receiver. He's playing on a team now where he had to develop chemistry with Odell Beckham Jr., and there was a little bit of transition with that, right? Odell had to come in, learn their plays. He's more of a freelance receiver where, he kind of just, if he sees a different route he can run, he may break on you, even that wasn't the route y'all talked about in the huddle, and you have to be able to adapt to him. So they had to get on the same page without disrupting the chemistry that he already had with Kupp, with Higbee, and some of those other guys too. And then I think the biggest thing for the Rams was they got Akers back. You already had Sony Michel doing his thing. Now you got Cam Akers coming in too, and they can feed off of each other. So having Cam Akers being able to solidify your running game, getting Odell Beckham Jr. a bigger role. I mean, he had 6 receptions for 69 yards, 11 yards reception. That's pretty good for Odell. Now, it wasn't the 9 for 183 that Cooper Kupp had, but Odell has found his place in that offense, and he didn't keep them from being who they ran. So this is a team that has an identity, and they've been sticking to their identity pretty much. And it's been proven to win for them. So I give LA all the credit in the world for that win.
I do too. And good point about Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, he has found his place in that offense. It makes him a very dangerous weapon outside or on the other side of Cooper Kupp. So now Stafford has 2 options to go with. Look out for LA, man. Look out for LA. Yep. I said it all along.
You know what, Odell? The only thing that Odell makes look bad though is Baker Mayfield. Anyway, Brad says not yet got to clear this hump against Frisco. Bad mistakes in a few games in November still kind of hangs over his head. He's got to beat them at home. You're talking about those pick sixes where he was really trying to force some stuff. But you got to remember, Brad, that was early on with him trying to – I think he was trying too hard at times early when Beckham just got there to try to get him into the offense by trying to force plays that he should have shied away from. He really, really opened himself up. He did throw several pick sixes, but hey, make them mistakes in November so that when January roll around, you good.
Right.
And Anthony says, I wouldn't say that Akers gave up the ball twice. And Brad, true OBJ is always open on the short cross or the 15 in. Absolutely. His double moves are legendary. That man can get open and got some of the best hands in the NFL still. He will always be open on those 15 cut routes, 7-yard cross, all of those. He going to get open. A lot of times Matthew Stafford is a gunslinger though. So he looking at that 15-yard, but then they see Kupp. If I can buy just enough time on that little seam route that he runs, that might be a home run. So sometimes that's what he's looking at. Instead of taking the short play, sometimes he gambles and takes the bigger play. He said, nope, not Beckham related. That's gunslinger stuff. Hopefully he's learned that. You're right. Yeah, he's got to get away from that Brett Favre gun. I'm going to just sling it around. And, I understand sometimes like when you got a Randy Moss and you throw a 50-50 ball because people get mossed and stuff. That's not really Odell. Odell is going to go up a lot of times. You can throw some 50-50 balls to him. You're not going to really do that with Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is more of a speedster. So you got to play on the strengths of your receivers a lot of times when you're looking at that too. So, but again, I think the Rams have a good chance against. I mean, listen, what more motivation do you need than if you win this game, the next game is a home game for the chip.
Right.
And it would be the second year in a row that a home team is playing in their own field for the chip. And it never happened until last year. After all these years in the NFL, home team ain't never been in the chip until last year. And now this year, LA has a chance to keep that going. So I say that the Super Bowl next year need to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm just saying. There we go. I'm just saying. Brad says both games should be really good. I agree. So before we get out of here, we did have one other game, and that was, man, the nightcap. Oh my freaking God.
Wow.
Woo.
You know, bro, for the nightcap, I would just say
I think we've seen two quarterbacks that, if they stay healthy, will be running this back for some time to come.
Right. And I just say for Josh Allen, I felt so bad for that kid at the end of the game, because what else can you do?
Nothing.
This man played a perfect, flawless game. Let him in passing, let him in rushing, left his heart out on the field, had him in a position to move on, and then they can't hold for 13 seconds. The defense fails you for 13 seconds.
13 seconds.
Yeah,
6 seconds less than the Cowboys had. Listen, Cowboy fans, if you think I'm giving you a lot of crap for that, you're right. And you just need to take it. You need to just take it. You just need to say, all right, you got me. You got me. Don't even get mad at me. Because, again, this is what I mean, though, by teams and coaching. All those things matter. You can't just turn this on in the playoffs and say, okay, all this stuff that we have issues with in the regular season, we don't work on those. They come back and they bite you at the worst time. So, obviously, they never ran clock management. They had issues all year long. I'm speaking about the Cowboys. And then you see another team that they're down. They need 3 points. They got 13 seconds. Yeah, they had some timeouts, but you still got to get in field goal position. You still got to make the right plays, all of that stuff. And they were able to get 3 plays off in 13 seconds to tie the game up to give them a chance in overtime. Now, everybody's making a big hay about, I blame Chiefs defense. They played bad, giving up big plays back to back. Chiefs or the Bills, you mean?
You got to be talking about the Bills.
Yeah, because the Chiefs, because you're right, the Bills defense gave up some big plays back to back, which set Kelsey up for that runoff touchdown. But yeah, so a lot of that stuff is just a result of practice, putting ourselves in a position to win. Now, a lot of people are talking about changing the overtime rules because it was a shame that they didn't get to see Josh Allen get the ball one more time. Well, that's your defense's fault. That ain't Josh Allen.
Right. Play some defense.
If the defense had held them to a field goal, then you would have seen Josh Allen either get a field goal or you would have seen Josh Allen lead them down and get a touchdown and win the game.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you got to play defense. You got to play defense. And it's not always a sure bet that the team that gets the ball first drives down and scores. So there's always a chance that you pin them up, make them either punt the ball or kick a field goal, and then you have an opportunity to go back. That's what the overtime rule is. They knew that was the overtime rule before the game started. They knew that's what it was when it was overtime. So all that overtime, we need to change this so we able to see the good quarterback have one more chance. He has 60 minutes.
Yep.
He has 60 regular game time minutes to do what he needed to do.
Sure did.
Brad said both defenses were despicable, but it was so damn exciting. Davis scored. Oh my God, that was the other part. Davis scored 4 times deep. I mean, the Chiefs' defense. Patrick needs help too. That was the crazy part. Gabriel Davis comes out of nowhere for 201 yards off of 8 catches.
4 touchdowns. His name is in the record books now.
Brad says impossible to cover, little dude. He really is a video game. No one else does what he does. No, that was, dude. That game was just insane. I'm like, they need to play that game again. They need to hit the reset button. Just play that game again. I could watch that again. That's why I was done by Monday. I was like, no, I'm glad there's no Monday Night Football game. I couldn't take it. This weekend was jam-packed with such great drama, everything coming down to the last minute. If you don't have a dog in the fight with any of these teams, this was a great weekend because you could just sit back and just enjoy football without being connected to anybody. Now, if you got a rooting interest, it may not have failed the way you wanted it to fall, or maybe your team won, but barely by the skin of their teeth, and you want them to shore up some of their problems. Hey, they're going to shore up them problems, but the thing is you got to win and move on first. So if you are a Chiefs fan, if you're a Rams fan, if you're a 49ers fan, or if you're a Bengals fan, you did the most important thing the other day. You won. Now you got to move on. But, man, I'm glad we at least get 6 days to recuperate because, bruh, man, I was like, what did I just witness over 2 days? I mean, most football days you get like, 13 games? We had 4, and that was the most draining weekend I've ever seen in my life.
You know, out of all the years that the NFL has been into play, you're going to have your top 10 NFL games of all time. You know, we got a list of that. Man, yes. I would dare to say that all 4 of those games played this past weekend could be candidates for best game of all time, man. Really could be, especially that daggone Chiefs and Bills game.
Yes. I mean, absolutely. It would be hard, and it would be hard-pressed to find a better collective weekend of football. So, hey, this was a great weekend, y'all. I am definitely looking forward to the NFC Championship, the AFC Championship. I think it's going to be close. If you can pick those games, then, I mean, you need to play the lottery because I can't tell you with any certainty who I think is going to win the game. You know, when it comes to the Bengals going to the Chiefs, what do you think about that one?
It's going to be razor close, man. I'm going to give the slight nod to Kansas City because they've been there and done that, and Cincinnati's just now coming up. But that being said, don't cut out Burrow. I've learned not to do that. So,
yep. I'm actually going to go with my Bengals. I'm gonna go ahead and ride with them. I think that the unfamiliarity with Kansas City, sometimes you don't know you're not supposed to be there yet. And you can play a little bit looser like that. I think there's going to be a lot more pressure on Kansas City because Patrick Mahomes was, quote unquote, the heir apparent to Tom Brady. So now we get to really see, has the torch been passed, or will this up and coming team with house money to play with, even if they lose, they've done more than they've done in 34 years. They have nothing. I mean, of course they want to get to the championship. I don't want to say they don't have nothing to play for, but my God, who has the least amount of pressure on them? And you can play loose and fast that way because you ain't afraid to really mess up as much. Kansas City, they got a lot more on the line because their fans have tasted victory. They like the taste. They used to that taste. And you better give me that taste back. We want that chip. So, and then looking at the Rams and the Niners, who you got on that one?
Rams Niners is going to be another close one, I think. I think if I had to go one way or the other, I'm going with LA. But they need to clean this crap up. They were, like you were saying, they jump up on these teams and then they start coasting and choking. And you cannot survive like that in the playoffs. I hope they learned their lesson with Tampa Bay last week and they will fix some of that crap, or else they
Can you imagine playing at home this week and then in 2 weeks playing at home again for the chip? I'm going with the Rams. I'm going with the Rams too. Brad says 27-10 Rams. Brad, that is very, very – now, the only way it's going to be 27-10, Brad, Jimmy G gonna do what Jimmy G does and have to throw
Right.
about. Okay. That's the only way that's gonna happen. Where they're almost down in the red zone, almost about to score, and Jimmy G does Jimmy G stuff. That's the only way I see that. Brad's also calling Kansas City 34-17 on them Bengals. Man, do you think Kansas City defense can cover Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins? And Uzama?
That Kansas City line better get to Burrow, I'm telling you, or Burrow will.
If you don't put Burrow on his back like Tennessee did, that ain't gonna happen. If you do, you got a chance. But if Jamar Chase shake loose a couple of times,
nah, they ain't. It's gonna be like Kansas City got to stay with them.
I could see 34-37, and you pick the winner. But 34-17, boy, somebody's offense didn't come to play that game, because these are both high-scoring offenses. So, yeah, it's going to be crazy. Anthony says that game is number 4 in history. Number 1 is Seahawks versus New England, no doubt. At the 1-yard line, yeah, forever.
Come on, Pete Carroll.
Preston Stage is going to be really big for Cincy this weekend. It is, but they don't know about big stages. They ain't never been. They weren't alive when they were the Bungles. They don't know any of that history. They think they belong. They don't know no better. Sometimes when you don't know no better, you play loose because you don't know you're not supposed to be there. Mark my words, on Tuesday, next Wednesday, I'm going to be telling y'all, hey, that was a good win by Cincy. What you think? So keep that in mind. You heard it here first. I'm actually going to say, hey, if Cincy wins, LA wins, I'm picking LA to win the Super. Oh, God, I can't believe I just said that. Brad probably don't want me to say that because he probably think I'm going to jinx his team by saying that. But I actually think that the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl if they beat San Francisco. Because if you go through Tampa, San Francisco, and well, I don't want to call Dallas. San Francisco beat Dallas. But if you go through Tampa and San Francisco, you should win the Super Bowl. He said, damn, Brian. It's just logic for me, Brad. It's not that it's your team and I'm trying to jinx them. I'm really not. I would love to see Matthew Stafford win a Super Bowl and get all that hate out of people's mouths. Save it for Aaron Rodgers since he again. Don't jinx me, bro. I'm not gonna jinx you. You know, it's their time. They pushed all the chips in the middle of the table for a reason, and now hopefully they'll be able to see the manifestation of that. Even if I'm right and they play Cincy and they end up beating Cincy will have had a great season to build off of. So no reason to hang their heads if they go to the Super Bowl and lose. No reason to hang their heads if they lose in the AFC Championship game. So they've already proven a lot to everybody. Nobody can say anything about Cincinnati. It's going to be more pressure on them next year to prove that it wasn't a fluke and that they can still keep up top of the AFC North. I don't think Cleveland will give them any trouble, but Baltimore will be in the mix, and we'll see what happens with the Steelers as well. So, Rand, any final notes on that?
Yeah, I got a Kansas City versus LA Super Bowl. And that will be extremely exciting as well. So yeah, we're gonna sit back and see what happens in these championship games. But they're anything like what happened this past weekend, man. I don't know if I could take it.
Bruh, I'm gonna I gotta stop standing up during these games because I almost fell out. I almost did. So anyway, y'all, that's our time. We ran over a little bit, but hey, it was just such a great week and just enjoyed it. Look forward to another great weekend. We'll see y'all again next week. Again, remember to like, share, subscribe. Let all your friends know about Head to Head, and we will see y'all again next week. Take care. Peace out.